This episode was produced by Founders Hive, a community of successful startup founders, industry experts, and investors promoting entrepreneurship in Switzerland and helping early-stage business concepts get ready for seed-stage investment. Founders Hive is a partner of the entrepreneurship training program empowered by InnoSwiss, the Swiss innovation agency supporting SMEs, startups, research institutions, and other Swiss organizations in their research and development activities. Click the link in the show notes to find out more about both these initiatives.
All the companies were measured in how much money did you raise already. I'm not sure if this is a KPI you really should focus on, like how much did you raise? In the end, like how much money did you have to rent to get your company running? So I would really turn the other way around and would say, if you manage to found a proper working company without getting too much money, without giving shares, that might be even a bigger success story.
Welcome to the Swisspreneur Show, a podcast about startup stories and learnings from experienced entrepreneurs. If you enjoy listening to our show, make sure to follow the podcast and leave a rating. And now, here's your host, Merle.
Welcome to another episode of the Swisspreneur podcast. Today, we have another podcast of our series Opposing Views, where we talk to founders that have experienced different routes in their startup, and we will talk to them about their experiences. Today is the topic of growth through fundraising versus growth through profitability. Maybe they don't even exclude each other, but we will go into that. And I'm very excited to have two founders here today, Nicolas and Christian. So maybe let's first start by introducing you two. Christian, let's start with you. You are a dermatologist, a surgeon, and a startup founder. So 3 very big things, I would say. You started Derma2Go back in 2018. Maybe can you tell us a bit more about what the motivation behind it was, what it is that you do, and what problems you're trying to solve?
In dermatology, we see patients with skin problems, and I think the important part here is we see our patients, and that's kind of where I thought in the past, is it really necessary to see the patients in person, like for every visit, or is like there an option to do it in a digital way? And it was not only me like having this idea, it was more our patients asking for possibilities to communicate with us in a digital way. So in the past, I mean, still today, I got a lot of images from friends and family. That's okay. But also from patients contacting me via Facebook, for example, to kind of get a follow-up consultation, for example. And there was no other way. So no judging on these patients. It was like there was no option to communicate with my patients in a digital way. And that's how we came up with Derma2Go, a platform that allows the patient, or that allows us doctors, to communicate with each other on medical purposes, in this case for dermatological issues, diseases. And yeah, that's how we started, and that's how Derma2Go kind of out of the practice started in 2018.
What can we picture? Is it like a chat app, or what does it look like?
Derma2Go is a digital platform. It's a web-based app. We also have an iOS and Android app, I think, released within the next days. That's where you can upload pictures, and you will get an answer from a dermatologist to this picture, to your issue, through the platform. Within, let's say, 24 hours, you'll get a diagnosis, you'll get a prescription if needed, and you can just order the medication directly online. You'll get it either via online pharmacy, or you can also just get it to your local pharmacy, the prescription, and then you pick it up within the next minutes to hours. So we work together with a lot of hospitals. I think that's kind of our core business. So it's not me sitting here at home and doing all these online consultations. It's more like a B2B2C service. So platform is used by, for example, university hospitals like Zurich or other hospitals in Switzerland, also in Germany, to treat their patients online, either for triage, like in the first step, but also for follow-ups in the patient journey.
Cool. That sounds like something I will definitely download. So also very exciting that you're launching the app very soon. So that's a good timing for us to talk. And then we have also here today, Nicolas. You're the co-founder and CEO of SONIX. And this is actually also the fourth startup that you've built. So maybe for our listeners, in a few words, what does SONIX do? And what keeps you coming back to the startup trenches?
So yeah, SONIX is a communication and entertainment platform for gamers and brands who want to reach and entertain gamers. We didn't start with gamer initially. SONIX was built in 2019 as a spin-off from EPFL and Abelé with really strong tech background in AI, in audio, in network, etc. And we're initially thinking, okay, let's use that core technology to make a remote communication and provide the feeling of real-time communication, like remove any latency on the internet, remove any lag. And then we say, okay, what kind of market do needs this? And we tried and we tested first, and we did a world premiere in the music industry. When musicians from home were playing together real time, and that worked really nicely. That proved technology leadership. But 4 years ago, we decided to focus all of our efforts into gaming because there's 3 billion gamers out there, including 1 billion gamer. We call it hardcore gamers. So gamer playing multiplayer games like, everybody knows Fortnite, Counter-Strike, Call of Duty, etc. Those are games where you need to communicate very fast. And so that is one part of SONIX, which coming from the tech side is communication. It provides very, very instant communication. We have AI audio with AI noise cancelling. So providing a perfect audio experience for gamers when they play. But also we have a full entertainment platform for esport teams and brands who want to entertain the audience. So if if you have a community of 10,000 gamers and you want to entertain them, you want to organize stuff like tournament, like you want to provide skins for the 3D avatars, etc. And so that's the second part of SONIX that we're building really right now. And so we have these two part, the communication part and the entertainment and monetization part for esport teams and brands effectively. So that's what is SONIX. And why I keep coming back to this, because maybe this is the only thing I know how to do. But no, and I frankly speaking, it's really the excitement. Every startup is different. What I like personally, it's a very personal thing, is that I like starting a startup when there is very tech differentiator. And so I wouldn't do, like a website startup, which may be very successful, but it's not my type. My type is coming from really deep tech differentiator. And from this, building a product and finding a product market fit for it. I did, a couple of exits in the past. Why I'm still doing this and still a lot of work to do startup? Because especially with SONIX, we think it can become really, really big. It's already worldwide, already available in PC, in Android, in Mac, in iOS, and already being used. And I'm amazed every day it's being downloaded and used in, really across the world. And that is the excitement part of doing something big.
Yeah, that's very exciting. Also to see it, see your vision become to life and see it go somewhere, maybe that you even haven't expected, which I think is also very exciting. And of course, today we're talking about fundraising versus bootstrapping and like how growth can look like. And maybe before we go into these questions, maybe you can each share quickly the strategy that you had for your startups or how you made your startups grow. Maybe, Nicolas, while you're at it, maybe you can share with us how you funded SONIX.
We funded SONIX by putting a lot of our own money initially with my co-founder, Olivier. We really believe in it and making like big time, like all of our money into it. But also, quickly realizing that, the bar, the expectation from the user is really, really high in terms of number of features they should see, etc. And even our own money alone will not cover it. And until we have this threshold of user expectation in terms of functionality in the app, we wouldn't be able to monetize it. And so therefore we started to look pretty early into external funding, and we have, because of a background as well and because of a vision, we managed to attract a number of business angels and early stage VC. So we have 2 early stage VC. Really, when I say early stage, is that VC investing in tech, but not yet a product. And that is nice thing in Switzerland, is that you find those kind of VC and a lot of business angel. I mean, today in our cap table, there's a lot of former entrepreneurs and current entrepreneurs investing in us, wanted to be part of something growing. And so, yeah, we managed to attract, we call it the pre-seed round a couple of years ago, enough for us to take the tech from the lab and make it like a robust solution. But that was not enough to monetize yet, really to make the technology leadership, which is very strong already. And the next step was started to grow. And again, we had to raise additional capital for it. And we are part of the seed round right now. And we managed to raise already to 3 million out of the 5 we're looking for. And the goal is to really take that tech and make a full product, which we are like 80% done already. And we already have, a user base and in beta, etc. So already having feedback from the user, gamers using us in tournament, in competition, winning competition with our software. We just managed to have Intel selecting us, amongst everybody else to be the sole audio provider for their tournament. So it's good. But in this field where, it's meant for the mass, we need to have a critical mass in order to start to monetize heavily. And so we still needed to have capital at the same time trying to be smart. How do we get users without spending money on the Facebook ad, which is not the goal at all. And so we, doing a lot of work there on the marketing side. How do you do to bring users? And that's why we, created the entertainment part as well, communication inside SONIX. So that we could have done without investment, really.
That's super interesting already to hear your side. And Christian, what was it like for Derma2Go? What was your financing plan or journey?
So I think when you start a company, you don't have this one plan on how to finance the next 1 to 10 years. I think it's kind of depending each year on your situation. And so what I want to say, like you really have to reevaluate on the current state, like to understand like how much money do I need, and do I get it with sustainable revenue, with recurring revenue? Do I need additional money? And in the end, you also have to get the money. Nicolas was saying, I think Switzerland is a good area to get money for good ideas, but still you need to get the money to bring it into your product. And as Nicolas was saying, when I was starting, I also had to put some of my money to start. I think that's maybe out to all founders, they're kind of necessary. So it doesn't matter who else wants to join in the next month, next years. They want to see that you put some money. If you don't have enough money, like I was a resident, so just a young doctor, I just put what I earned so far. It was not too much, but it's, I think, enough to show investors I believe in the product. And actually it helped also like to develop the first MVP, minimal viable product. And with this, I could attract other people to convince them getting my MVP to a really working platform. And so when we started in 2018, like all the companies were measured in how much money did you raise already. I'm not sure if this is a KPI you really should focus on, like how much did you raise? It's in the end, like how much money did you have to rent to get your company running? So I would really turn the other way around and would say, if you manage to found a proper working company without getting too much money, without getting money means giving shares, that might be even a bigger success story. Now I know there are enough arguments also to go for the big money. But if I would go for money, and we had to, Nicolas, as you were saying, like there's a first round, there's a second round, there's a third round. But I preferred always to go with smaller rounds, getting to the next milestone, with each milestone increasing the value of the company, and then getting again to the next milestone. And that's kind of what we did. Bootstrap means for me, on the one hand side, making as early as possible revenue to cover your spendings. Additionally, spendings needed. For example, right now, I mentioned like we have now this iOS and Android app. We also recently actually last week got certified as an MDR2A medical device. Like that's some money you spend, and it's not always possible to just cover it for running revenue. So if you need money, take it. And that's what we did, but always just as much as needed. And so far, I mean, we made it now to a positive EBITDA last year, and still might need more money, also more investor money for, again, like for projects, for one-time investments. And that's worked. And I think also from the founder's perspective, it's healthy. So really for your health, for your psychological health, to know always you don't spend way more than you can afford. And that's why I'm quite happy with the path we made so far.
And I agree with Christian. I mean, it's also my philosophy here. I mean, my first startup is Lemoptics. We raised 5 million overall over 7 years, where our US competitor raised 500 million. And at the end of the day, we got a better exit than they got, because they were burning money, really burning. I wish in our benefits, frankly speaking, because they were educating the market on what this kind of technology can do, etc. So we use a lot of their money indirectly, but in a smart way. And that's also what we're trying to do with SONIX. Be smart, efficient. Let's Silicon Valley money spending, burning money to educate the market and use it for profit. And so that's, in SONIX, the same thing. Our competitor Discord raised $1 billion, $1 billion. And so they spend a lot of money educating, the markets. And you know what? Communication software for gamers can have an enormous valuation, enormous value. And so we use that. I mean, we need to catch up still with them, because, I mean, they've done something with this money for sure. But we're catching up in a smart way, trying, not copying them, but just exactly trying to find a place where they are not. And even though they have 200 million monthly active users on their platform, means that 800 million are not on their platform. And we're targeting those 800 million, but we benefit a lot indirectly from their money and their money educating the market. And so that is smart way. And that's the smart things to do, especially in Switzerland, where anyway, you don't have access to this Silicon Valley money. Even if you go to the US, if a company goes there, I mean, it's very, very difficult to get this money if you're not out of a, YC Combinator, also other accelerator platform like this one. And so we need to be smart in comparison. I mean, I think it's a Swiss as a country. Switzerland is small and smart, so it reflects on the startup as well.
It's a mindset. But what is your opinion? Because you said that you have 2 VCs now in. What is your opinion on control over company decisions once you get more VCs in? How does it affect having more VCs on the table?
Yeah, I think it depends what the mindset of the VC. Not all the VC are the same. I mean, the VC we have on board and we have one representative, I mean, he's been entrepreneur himself. And so it's not, he's been living the life of entrepreneurship before. So he knows what he can bring and when it's time to freak out and to act, but also when it's time to just calm down and provide good advice at the same time. Not all the VC are like this. I mean, VC is just a name, but behind is really people inside the VC. And some people just go out of school and become VC and have no life experience. That's fair. That's fine. But really the one you want to have in your board is the one with experience. And so that's very important. Then we have, in our case of Lemoptics was even more interesting because we did 5 rounds of investment and we had like 0 VC wanted to invest in us. Except last round, we had like 1 VC investing in us and he did like a 5x in 12 months return. So he was happy. But the key part is that getting VC on board is who are those VCs? Where can they help? And do you want to have them on your board as well? I mean, sometimes it's easy to say. It's always easy to say. I mean, you need to choose your VC at the end of the day. I mean, you don't have like 20 choices and you need to balance because that's in practice, that's the case. And so you need to balance. Do you want VC or do you want business angel? Do you need really big amount? And the business angel is not possible. Or can you do like step-by-step approach, as Christian was saying, get to the next milestone, increase the valuation because, you hit a milestone that clearly increases the value of the company. And I like to have both sides. I mean, I like business angel a lot because they're really supportive of the company itself. I mean, 100%. VC, it's 80% to the company, 20% for their VC fund. I mean, it's always keep in mind, it's not the same priority entirely versus a business angel. And so once you have this in mind, I mean, it's good. There's no surprise. But a VC have something to report to somebody else, whereas business angel is their own money. So they report to themselves only. So they're a bit more flexible there.
Yeah, so maybe like the initial motivation is different. Christian, what's your take on it? Also with maybe thinking about agility for a startup that is not VC backed.
Nicolas, when you were saying the flexibility might leak on the VC side. And I think, as you're saying, like it's depending on the VC, and we talked to many VCs in the past. I mean, through the network of InnoSwiss and the Swiss network, but I think pivoting with a VC might be way harder. And they have often, especially like in talking to VCs when fundraising, they have the list, right? As you're saying, it's not their own money. So they kind of have to judge their investment in front of other people. And something like gut feeling, I want to do maybe something that also helps society, whatever. Like that's not on their list. On the list is like, we need 3 co-founders full time. We need at least 2 exits before from the founders, like whatever, like everyone has a hard criteria. And if they don't hit them, they would like to invest. Maybe the single person talking to you, this business analyst, he would like to invest because he thinks it's a good thing, but just because it doesn't hit the list, and I understand it, but they do not invest. And this is, I think, where we have with business angel advantages. And I always try, and I think it worked until today, go for the like really smart money. So I never got money just because of the money, because always there was someone behind who could, I don't know, open some network, bring some like other market access, experience. Also, like I'm a medical doctor, so our last investor is kind of a managing director. So he knows how to be on this side. So it really helped me, I would say, even more to get these people on board than them.
I think that's very interesting input. Now, you also said something, you both said it actually, with the competitors and also how the market is shaping and how it influences your decision, which then comes to the point of sustainable growth versus maybe rapid scaling. Although there again, maybe they're not excluded. But do you believe, or have you maybe even experienced also that the competition in your field has pushed you towards fundraising? Maybe, I don't know, Nicolas, maybe you can give an input on that.
Not really in our case. Competition was, we're using them just to help us, but we're not trying to copy. I mean, raising 1 billion is just impossible for us. That's a starting point. And it's not even what we want, frankly speaking. There's also something we need to distinguish between what we hear as a storytelling. Especially, big VC, big money in the US, they like storytelling a lot. I always take the example of Figma. Figma is a huge success. They took 8 years to find product market fit. So we always talk about, ChatGPT launching and having 100 million RR, in a month or other, but in practice, it takes time to scale. And even in the US. And that's a bit kind of the mindset here. Do we want to scale at no cost? Really spend a lot of money and maybe spend 5x what you should do to get customer acquisition and go faster, and then keep on raising money just to sustain this growth. And that could work eventually, but it's also a mindset thing, which is not our mindset in SONIX. SONIX, we are happy to give away a lot of the feature for free right now for people to adopt it, to learn it, etc., and then monetize later. And so that's, in that sense, we just giving away a lot for free and not getting revenue right now, but, creating some adoption afterwards and generating revenue later on. Then really trying to raise 20 million and spend 20 million in sponsoring, like left and right teams, etc., without a very clear return investment, numbers, at least not top class. So we try to be top class on everything we do, and that takes a bit more time. Top class in terms of, getting a smallest customer acquisition cost, the highest retention, etc. But it's not excluding explosive growth, and we try to get this as well, but not at any cost. It's kind of my point here.
Do you agree with that, Christian? Or do you think that the pace of scaling can be maybe even the same?
You were asking about your competitors and like, as you, Nicolas, like there are always different companies in the market who kind of are in the same area. And as you were saying, like you can just learn from each other. And I would say like we have a good relation to whoever's in the market. I think it's more about like what other people think, like this company is successful because they raised 2 million more. They raised 5 million more. That's what I was saying before. Like your company is valued by partners, maybe by other investors, by the amount of employees and by the maybe amount of revenue. I remember like a few years ago, it was never EBITDA. It was always revenue, and it was like really focused. I think it changed a little bit. And on how much money did you already raise? But like in a word, like as I'm a medical doctor and I'm working in the clinic or in the practice, like if I would tell my the clinic director, we made so much revenue, but like I spent 5 million last year on our new device, and we hired 30 more employees. I mean, they are just sitting in the clinic, but it wouldn't work, right? So I think maybe that's also my mindset of where I'm coming from. So for me, myself, especially in the market I am in, it's not always good to just raise a lot of money. You mentioned one example, Nicolas. We had the same competitor, not a competitor, just a company doing the same in US. Yeah. They raised 20 million with one round and they left the market after, I think, 3 years. Yeah. So this is like one example that, I mean, it's another market, so no attachment at all, but this kind of showed maybe in the field where we are in, like in the medical field, that it takes longer than maybe in your field, Nicolas. We are highly regulated. Like data protection is a huge thing. Like it took me 2 years to like bring our platform to a level just in terms of data protection. Again, like we were certified now as an MDR2A medical product. That's a big thing. Like if you use whatever you need in the clinic, heart transplantation, like these are devices that are certified as medical devices. And nowadays there are more and more softwares also need to fulfill these things. That takes a year or 2 years to get to this point. And also the processes in the hospitals. I mentioned like we are a B2B platform. You mentioned, Nicolas, there are gamers. Yeah, like the gamer decides in the evening, I need to communicate, so I'll use your platform and try. For us, it's 2 years to get this hospital onto our tool. And I could have 5 million on my bank account from my VC, but still this hospital wouldn't be faster in signing my contract. So agree, it might help because I can go to more hospitals at the same time, but it still takes 2 years. So it's good to have enough money on the account, but it not always helps to speed up.
You just said something, and you said it at the beginning as well, Christian, that I wonder when we talk about like the feeling of pressure and mental health, maybe even, do you think or do you feel that it's different for either of you? Do you have what is the source that pressures you the most? Because for example, for Bootstrap, we often hear like cash flow anxiety. You know, these are like terms that you hear from bootstrapped startups. What is like the main source that gives you pressure, and is it the same or is it different for either of you? I wonder.
Well, it's the same. I mean, it's cash flow. Whereas you bootstrap, I think it's even more when you're not bootstrapping because really relying on investor, keep constantly raising fund and convincing investor, and at the same time just growing the business and growing the product, etc. It's a constant stress for sure, and that's the heaviest stress for entrepreneurs. I mean, getting your ID funded and reaching the point of, I think once you reach EBITDA positive, that's a game changer because you lower a bit this stress and then you can really focus more on the growth, etc. But until you get there, you're juggling permanently between product and investors.
I agree. Like cash flow is really what you're thinking of most. I think if you do kind of going bootstrapped, you have it permanently, like because you in the end of the month, you need to have the money for the next month. Let's say like this, not maybe on a monthly base, but 3 to 6 months in advance. While when you have 3 million, you might know it will take me for the next 1.5, 2 years. I mean, that's probably also what a VC wouldn't invest 5 million if he would know like the money is gone in 6 months, right? So he'll bring enough money to bring the company through a certain time. the problem here is like, if this time is over, I think then you will have more pressure than this bootstrapped company, like every month. So you get kind of used to it. And Nicolas, you said like when you break even, it's easier. It is like we made it last year, but still you have new investments. You still want to grow, right? I expected more relief
than it was at the end. How would you say that, for example, customer acquisition strategies differ between a VC-backed and a bootstrap startup?
I mean, if you indeed have 3 million or 5 million in the bank account, in our case, we do a B2B2C in the sense that, we attract gamers by attracting esport teams or community leaders. And we attract them on the platform and they bring their fan. That's really which their fan, obviously gamers at the same time. And so to get those community leaders or influencer or esport team, there's always a question about, can you sponsor? It's the first thing. And sometimes it's not a big sponsoring. Sometimes it's just 500 per month and they got, 10,000 followers. And we say, okay, could be nice to have 10,000 new people in our platform in the long run. And sometimes like very, very big teams, like with tens of millions of followers, they're just talking about few 100,000. And so we are in discussion with all of them, trying to bootstrap with all of them, saying, we don't have money, but we have plenty of other things to provide you. And including marketplace, including entertainment, so they can generate themselves money, etc. But we need to be very, very convincing in terms of business development. And it's, because we are small teams and it's, mainly Olivier and myself doing this, Olivier in Europe, myself in the US, and convincing them step by step. For sure, with more money, we could be like, 3, 4 of us doing this much faster. We could sponsor a little bit, not big amount, but sponsor teams so that those teams are also struggling with money. So, they don't do it for getting money up front and do stupid stuff with this, but really just trying to get their own company running. And that's their business model. So it's fair. And so with a bit more money, we could do like 10 times faster. Not a huge amount because this is our mindset where we provide them something that no other platform provide. And that's, reduce the cost of a partnership significantly, actually. But getting more of those guys onboarding right now, will help us to grow faster. So it's not about millions, but it's what we're pitching right now to investor. We don't need millions. In addition, we need a couple of 100,000 just to accelerate on this front.
To be able to put a focus.
To put a focus and to sign more B2B2C deals at the same time. So bringing more community leaders on board, more esport teams and brands on board on SONIX so that they can bring their fans in thousands.
Just to agree on this, maybe I think it's also about the approach. If you go B2C or B2B2C. So I think B2C, you can never have enough money. Like that's it, at least in my imagination, depending on your market size. But you really want to set up a brand and it's branding, it's conversion. I think you can spend a lot on marketing. And if you find the good customer acquisition cost, customer lifetime value ratio, so probably you could even spend more. If it's on B2B2C, like your customer group will majorly decrease. So there might be other important key factors, not only the money. You might have good contacts. You might need support within the B2B, like the business partners. So we did both. Like we did a lot of B2C in the beginning. Right now, B2B2C is what made us to become this bootstrapping and right now EBITDA positive company.
Is there a scenario, Christian, in which you would say for this or that reason, we would now go into a funding round?
We are constantly also looking for funding.
Yeah.
Additionally to what we can provide by ourselves. But it's on the one hand side, like into the product. So if we really see like these MDR 2A certification, either it's needed or it would really help us to access new market areas. Or if we would find a B2C approach, for example, where we would see like it was every marketing euro spent, we would gain 3 francs. Like for sure, I would invest millions and every investor would do it, but it's never that easy. So that's why right now, if someone give me 30 million, it would be hard to spend it in the proper way in this market.
And also not like in terms of like growing the team. You mentioned already that you have quite a lot of people now also located at the hospital.
When I was mentioning the hospital, it's more like if I would tell my boss I just employed 30 more people to show off, he wouldn't agree on this. That's what I meant, like a little bit about this cultural thing,
Okay.
that startups are measured by amount of employees and funding raised. No, we try to stay lean in German to go.
Yeah.
We have a managing director who's managing the daily business, and then about like 8 to 10 FTs in the product, marketing, sales, and it's a very good team. I think that's also, I mean, it's not topic of today, but that's kind of the hardest and most important part of founding a company. I think even more important than the money, like to have really a good, trustable, loyal, motivated team.
Yeah, very true. And do you both believe that it takes a certain kind of founder to either bootstrap or go to VC funding?
It's probably a characterism thing. So I think maybe yes. Yeah. So for me, I'm a part-time founder. I think that's kind of the new thing. At least what I heard the last years, like more and more people next to their job. I'm working in the university hospital. I found a company, and for example, I mentioned before, a lot of VCs, it's a no-go. It's just not on the list. So you cannot invest. But if we look the last 5 to 7 years, it worked out pretty well. And I would say we even had a lot of advantages being that close into the dermatology society with a founder who is a dermatologist. In my case, I mean, maybe the bootstrapping way is the one that was more likely to bring us to success.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it's for sure in terms of VC and even most of the business angel, I mean, they're looking for people like full time on it, like 150%, etc., fully dedicated for. I mean, this is their checkbox effectively. I mean, there's the style of people saying there will never be any other company. This is the only company. This is my life. It's kind of looking like this kind of sentence. If that's not your case, and then bootstrapping is probably the only way, except, getting some, FFF, friends, family, money, etc. But getting VC money would be very, very hard.
And to bring it kind of towards an end, but also connected to the description from you right at the beginning, why would you both say that your chosen path was right for you, of course, but also right for your startup and for your product?
I mean, I don't know if it's the right way. You would never know what's happening if, but we are still there. I think that's at least something in the nowadays startup world. I mean, we all know other companies. So in the market we are in, like in this health market, in this highly regulated market with just very few decision makers and long processes, I think it's also a good idea to have a company that can deal with slow processes. And that's why I feel like also for the next years, I name it healthy growth. Like everyone would have other definition for this, but with a healthy growth, we'll make our way.
Yeah, in our case, the same as well. It's really about our way. I mean, this is our style with, Olivier and myself. Our style is really going after, doing partnership, doing win-win partnership. It's really our philosophy in life, and we're applying to the business, which, works well because that's allows us to, raise less funds, be more efficient. Same thing with the team as well. We don't have any redundancy in the team. It's just everybody's critical, and we want to keep them super motivated so they all have equity in the company. And we really shape our business plan, our product along the way. That fits also, this way of thinking of Olivier and myself. And we think this is a good way, very different to a Discord way, very different. But we think that will be the most successful one in terms of capital efficiency and exit strategy as well. And so really shaping it, and exit strategies mainly coming from our background in doing very smart partnership with, we don't build everything from scratch. We're just taking parts which are, available on the market or being co-developed. We have our core, which is the audio, and are building a big puzzle around it, makes the entire thing very, very efficient. And recently, as an example, we just acquired a company without any money, because we don't have enough money for this. And so it took us some time, I have to say, but it was a Swiss company who had a software doing tournament, gaming tournament software, one of the leading one in the world. And we say that makes total sense. I mean, if you have a gaming community, you want to have not only the best audio performance, but you want to entertain them. And entertaining a gaming community is the best perfect way is organizing tournament, because that's what gamer wants. And so we said, like, we're not going to start this from scratch. We're going to take, it's an entire company. And so we found this guy in this company in a trade fair, and we discussed with them for a year, and, they accepted to sell their software against equity. And then they accepted as well to invest cash in a company to integrate their software, because it needs some work on the software side. And so that's bringing a tremendous value of the company, very strong in our target, which is, gaming and entertainment of gamers, and in a smart way. I mean, we lose a bit equity, yes, but we increase tremendously the value of the company at the same time for us and for every shareholder. So everybody is super happy about it, and it makes total sense. And so that's the way we work with Olivier. Discord, we probably have built things from scratch and spent a couple of $100 million to develop it. We made another way. At the end of the day, probably faster. It took 12 months, but still faster than building everything from scratch. And with a small team, making a full product, which is very appealing for gamers and brands. And we think that we always think also in exits. I mean, we have VC funding that we know. That's a fact. And even business angels, they want to see that money with a multiplier at some point in time. And so we always think about where do we want to go? Who are the potential acquirer ultimately? And so we have a long list of acquirers. It's not like we're rushing to talk to them right now, but we know exactly where there is gap in their portfolio. And we're also building SONIX to fill up this gap, so as to become attractive as a company.
I think this is actually also a really good tip for first-time founders to, like, the idea that they have or the product they have, to also look at what gaps of the potential acquirers are there that they could fill. And to also finish up this podcast, I would like to ask you, for anybody that's starting out now and is still unsure of which route to go, if they should first, maybe start with smart money but stay lean and bootstrapped in that sense, or go the VC route, what kind of tips would you like to give them, or any things to consider before moving on?
Yeah, I'm not sure there's a single path. I mean, at the end of the day, when you're raising fund, we're talking to hundreds of people. And so sometimes as business angel, especially in Switzerland, it's a very small community. And even a VC, would not invest because the investment committee, say, okay, it doesn't tick all the boxes, but as an individual, they may invest a small ticket. I mean, there's not so many, especially in Switzerland, it's really well done in terms of what is the list of VC, what is the target. Same thing with business angels. There's a couple of business angel groups, and everything is pretty interlaced. So as soon as you have one investment from one side, it's opened up investment from the other side as well. So it's not like a single route. And especially, early stage VC are investing in pre-seed and seed most of the time. So not looking for a really aggressive scale, already looking at investing money to reach a product market fit, which is then people decide, once they have product market fit, they can decide if they grow organically or if they get more money to grow more aggressively.
Anything you would like to add, Christian?
Maybe just on the side of the spendings. So always try to keep your spendings as low as possible, especially after you raise some fund. And in the beginning, it's 100,000, then it's 1 million, then it's 2 million. So you kind of get used to this amount of money, and then you also kind of spend more money. And sometimes there is really no need to spend more money just because you have a little bit more money on your account. But after all, I think if you get money, I would take it. So, Nicolas and me, we were discussing it, but I don't know you, Nicolas, but I'm pretty sure we all have hard times to find investors. Like, normally it's not like this, that they're in line and wait you to give the money, and we say no. And also me, like, trying to get this bootstrapping position here into the podcast. If like there's an investor and tells me, Christian, I have a good idea, I believe in your product, I'll give you money, I would take it. Yeah. And I will find a good way to spend it. And that's why also a wise guy in my environment, a coach, he always said, like, if you get money, take it. And I think that it's very broad. And as Nicolas was saying, there is not one thing that fits to all, but take the money if you get it.
There's free money going around. All right. Well, thank you both so much. I thought this was so interesting and also packed with a lot of really cool learnings and tips, I think, for our listeners. Yeah. And with that, I thank you both for taking the time and sharing your experiences. Every listener, check out SONIX and Derma2Go. And with that, I'm really interested to see where you both end up in the next years and to see the growth of both of your startups. So thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot.
We hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you did, you can support us by rating our show on Apple Podcasts. This way, we can reach an ever-growing number of aspiring entrepreneurs.